Tonight, extra depth and perspective on the silent pandemic. It's been nearly 2 years since our way of life was first altered by COVID-19, but even before that began just 7 months prior, El Paso's darkest day, August 3rd, 2019. 23 lives taken, dozens injured, countless more impacted forever. Our community still trying to heal from one traumatic event when it's thrust into the teeth of another, a global pandemic like we've not seen in our lifetimes. That extra depth and perspective tonight on the impact that's had on mental health in the Borderland. It's a story you'll see only on ABC-7. The hustle and bustle of downtown, the sign of things returning to the way they once were. But not long ago, businesses were shuttered. Children's way of learning gone virtual.
Now the pandemic hitting one city in Texas hard.
El Paso thrust into the national spotlight as the country's COVID-19 hotspot.
They're backing in this Ford refrigerator truck.
No darker sign of that than these mobile morgues.
The last 24 months have been really heavy and really hard.
Celeste Nevadas is the chief of clinical services at Emergence Health Network. Residents, assistants with mental health and intellectual and developmental disabilities.
The overall mental health of our community is something I'm deeply concerned about. The loss of job, changes in our social life, our financial life, all areas of our lives have been impacted in the last 24 months. And so the mind and the body are connected by the neck. If it is affecting the rest of our body, it's definitely affecting our mental health.
You make it look very... Leonard Martinez knows all too well. The lifelong El Pasoan first addressed his mental health more than 10 years ago when he started having panic attacks.
I experienced depression along with anxiety and panic disorder.
He was prescribed medication and started seeing a psychiatrist. Regular visits over nearly a decade became less frequent, even going a full year without a visit.
Over the weekend, Italy plunged into chaos.
But the onset of the pandemic changed everything.
Things were becoming a bit more dire during the pandemic, just overwhelming, thinking of the illnesses that people were getting and going to the hospital.
He says the images of the lockdown in Italy in early 2020 left him feeling he needed to go back to his psychiatrist.
There's even a part of you that thinks, maybe I'm even a loser. Like, I thought I defeated this. I thought I had been victorious over this. And there's that, tiny voice that says that. But that's not the case.
Martinez is far from alone. Take a look at this. These are the number of calls to Emergence Health Network's crisis hotline. Just 40 in the month of August 2018, no more than 83 in a single month the rest of that calendar year. But look here, August 2019, the month of the Walmart mass shooting, that number skyrockets to 484, a more than 12-fold increase compared to the year before. There is a slight drop-off from there, but fast forward another year. Now, months into the pandemic, the call volume is still north of 250 per month. Celeste Nevadas says mental health in the Borderland was once an untouchable topic, but not anymore.
In the last few years, more and more people have really normalized that, which is great because people are reaching out, but it also speaks to the need of our community.
3, 2, 1.
It's not just Emergence seeing that spike in demand. The El Paso Child Guidance Center just breaking ground this month on a $3 million expansion to serve the increasing need. Just this past January alone, the center helped more than 1,400 children, 76% more in 1 month than the number of children they saw in all of 2018. While the rise in demand could be considered a cause for concern, there's actually a silver lining. It means more people are willing to reach out.
My concern is for the folks that do not reach out and are continuously suffering in silence, whether it be through the complex trauma of August 3rd or the changes during COVID-19. Whatever traumas they've endured are compounding over time, and it can become a more serious issue.
It's something so personal. It's arguably one of the most personal things about a person to share. That first obstacle is ourselves, and it's just saying something's off, I'm gonna check on it. It's just take that first step. The first step is the scariest, but it's the one that leads you on the path to good mental health.
A path that still has its bumps in the road for Martinez, but one he says he's made incredible progress on. Now, it's important to note everyone's path and the severity of their struggle is different. What may work for you may not work for someone else, and it doesn't have to be a full-blown crisis moment. A call to a professional can help you assess the stresses you're dealing with and how best to cope with them. Now, Emergence even offers its EHN Relaxation Calm Room. You can see it here on your screen on their website. If you scroll down, you'll see it has a variety of mental balance and grounding, 5-minute meditation, several videos and other resources available to you here. And also on KVIA.com, within this story that I've posted here, Borderland grapples with growing mental health demand. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see that we have a full list of available mental health resources here in the Borderland with phone numbers, addresses, and links to their site as well. Stephanie.
And Eric, it's an important conversation to have, and one many of our viewers actually opened up with you about.
Yeah, I put a call out a couple weeks ago on my social media pages asking anyone who has had to deal or address their mental health over the last couple of months or years with the pandemic that we've been enduring. And as you can imagine, it's a very difficult and sensitive topic to talk about, as you heard from Leonard there. It is not something easy to open up about, especially on television. But I will say, while there weren't a ton of people willing to go on camera, which is completely understandable, there were so many people who shared their stories. One in particular I want to share with you, a young mom who had just had her first child that happened. She connected so much with the Anchondo story. Jordan Anchondo, one of the victims of the August 3rd shooting, who was a young new mother herself. And she decided to drop out of school and focus solely on her child, on her son, and prepare for her son's first birthday. Well, fast forward to that first birthday. That was set to be in April of 2022. They made all sorts of plans and reservations for that birthday. However, of course, the pandemic starts in March and everything is canceled and closed, and so they were no longer able to have that party. So just one of the many stories and one of the many effects of not just the August 3rd tragedy, but also the pandemic that has affected so many people's lives. And it's not necessarily just a loss of life. It can also be that loss of job, that loss of just the normal way of living that we have grown accustomed to prior to the start of the pandemic. Stephanie.